Today, we're talking about the cons of digital video games. Let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Adrian Reddix, and today we're talking about what are the cons of digital video games. The reason why this got brought up is because a game I've been wanting to play for a long time after I've seen all types of reviews for it. It's called Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It's a side-scrolling brawler game, and that's the kind of game I like. It's very nostalgic of the games I used to play when I was a younger fellow, like the Double Dragon game on Game Boy, or Jakaido. That's another one that I like, and games like that. For a number of years, this game, you couldn't buy it if you wanted to. You would hear all this, you'd have all these top 10 and top 5 lists about the best games you can't play anymore, or the best games that used to be available, or whatever. And it's always somewhere on top of a lot of people's lists. They announced a couple months ago that this game is going to come out the holiday season of 2020. All right, so they got me thinking, like, what are some things about digital games that they're not good? But mind you, this is not a demonization of digital only or digital games. This is just me looking from the outside looking in. You know, a lot of people build computers, or they have computers and they want to play games, and you can build the best, fastest $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 computer, but if you don't have anything to play it on, then it was all for naught. You're building these machines and you can't afford the software to put on them. So that's why I like doing these bundles that I do on the channel. But digital games do have a downside to them, and we're going to discuss a couple of them. It won't be an exhaustive list, but yeah, let's get into it. The first one is, I don't know if this is a real term, but it's a term I'm going to use. Same thing happened with Scott Pilgrim, and it's called deplatforming. Hey guys, quick note. Deplatforming seems, I didn't know at the time, this is post Adrian doing his thing, but it seems to be a political movement. Let me read to you the Wikipedia definition. It's going to be is a form of political activism or prior restraint by an individual, group, or organization with the goal of shutting down conversational or controversial speakers or speech. I didn't mean it like that. What I meant was that deplatforming is just taking it off where you can buy it. So hopefully that fixes that confusion. All right. Meaning that a publisher or a store, repository, this is the best way I can describe Steam or GOG or Epic, they can just take the game down so you can't buy it anymore for any reason. It could be because the publisher doesn't like the deal that the platform is giving them. It could be that the platform and the publishers just don't get along over, I don't know. It could be they don't like the way the game, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just that anybody that's connected to the game, especially if it's a digital only game, can just take the game and just not sell it anymore. There's a YouTuber by the name of Corpse Husband, and I'll link the video in the description, but he has a video on it's like 10 or 15 games that you just can't find. You can't play because of a lot of it is deplatforming, that people will take the game off and you just can't play it anymore. Scott Pilgrim was one of those things that it's the type of game I like. You know, I like strategy, I like puzzle, but I like side-scrolling brawlers. I love a brawling game, and it's not a willingness of not wanting to buy it, because when the game came out, it wasn't on my radar. It didn't get on my radar until after you couldn't get it. I guess you want things more that you can't have. The ability not to buy a game, it doesn't sit right with me. Second thing is you can't let your friends borrow a game. Back when all the games were on a physical format, a friend could come over and you could be like, hey, you want to borrow my copy of whatever? And you could do that. You can have multiple friends borrow copies of the game and play, just like if you had a book, or if you had a car, or if you had a cup of sugar. You can let your neighbor or your friend or whoever it is borrow that because it's already been paid for. I do understand the argument that by not having a way to have persons borrow the game, then that's it's gonna be good for the publisher, which a lot of the digital games that come out now are only out because the publisher doesn't have to strike a deal with somebody, so they can have the game printed and put in a case and shipped out and all the other costs that comes with that, so that the publisher can get some money, the platform can get some money, and that you can keep these things at a high standard as far as game developing and make sure the platform works the way it does. But what it does do is, yes, technically everybody involved gets more money, but you get less exposure, because it's been plenty of games that my friends have let me borrow and I liked, and when the second one came out or the third one came out or something else by that publisher came out, I went and bought it because I was exposed to it. And I believe you lose some of that sometimes whenever people aren't exposed to your product and they have to buy it. I mean, the trust factor isn't there anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like I can't be like, hey, try this game out, or try it out before you buy it, huh? See if you like it, and then bring it back. That gets lost. 3, size. The size of some of these games are ridiculous. Let's take the behemoth of the moment, and that's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, not the one from years ago, the one that came out last year. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a huge game. The game, if you get the whole full version of the game, it's a 250 gig-ish download. That is ridiculous. Tell you why. Because if you look at the average home internet, your average home internet is capped at 1,024 gigabytes. So that's a terabyte of data. So you're telling me that if I download the full version of this game, then almost a quarter of my internet is gone for the month? And then on top of that, sometimes they'll send out 125 gigabit updates to update the game. So that's like an eighth of my internet gone, with having limits on internet and having these big hard drives. Now, I know on Call of Duty, you can download parts that you play and things like that. You don't have to download the whole game. But if you wanted to, it's done. And then you have to take into consideration the amount of storage you have on whatever device you're playing. Like if I only have, and some people only have a 500 gigabyte hard drive. And you're telling me that most of my hard drives are going to be taken up by one game? It's ridiculous. So the size, because they don't have the constraints of having to fit all the game into a disc and saving, space and things like that, then the size of these games can be exorbitantly big. And that's not a common problem, but I mean, it exists. The next one is not as big of a problem, but as far as discounts on games. Now, they do have digital sales and bundles and things like that, but let's just say a game came out today and you spent $60 for it and you got your enjoyment out of it, and you go back and sell it to somebody else, or you sell it to, God forbid, GameStop, who will give you a very deflated price for it. As more people play it, or as the game doesn't become as popular, the price can continually go down on physical games, and you can get a deeply discount. Let's say in 5 years and the game's in, as far as scratch free and some pretty good condition, you can have a $60 game and drop it all the way down to $8. It does happen on the digital space, but you got some games that will never drop in a discounted way as opposed to a physical form if it was in. You got your sports games like Madden and 2K and things like that come out every year. Those will drop significantly in value as the as newer games come out. But you got things like Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't go down in value, and it's still like a $30-$40 game, even though it's been out for the last couple of years. On the physical, let's say if we had a physical copy, and I could possibly get this game for $4 or $5 now, or 10 or 9. I don't really know what the price is on that. You lose a discounted factor on it, because I used to go into GameStop and a couple other, I think around here we have one called Game Exchange. I could get some AAA titles, some really expensive games years ago for $1, $2 a piece, or things like that, years after it was on its prime. So you lose that market, that resale market, when you don't have physical games. So that leads us to our last point that brings all of this together. And to me, this is the thing about digital games that irks me the most. And it's that you do not really own the game. You don't own the game. You own a license to play the game, or license to use the game. Because if you read the terms and services that we all just click on accept and go through, you'll see where, technically they can revoke that license just like any other license in the world. You can revoke the license and you don't have access to it. So you'll pay whatever you pay for the game, 60, 50, 40, whatever the cost is. And technically, you can revoke the license and you can't play the game anymore. That's why you can't let your friend borrow the game. That's why you can't resell the game. That's why you can't give the game away to somebody from your account. If you lose access to your account, or something is compromised, or you do something that makes one of these platforms mad and they delete your account, all your games go with it. And that's the main reason I have a problem with digital games. Do I hate them? No. Will I ever not recommend people buy digital? No. They have their value as far as reach. I guess I can discuss this in another video, but not having the ability to own something, and this is what a lot of tech companies do, and this is what is a lot of things that make me disillusioned sometimes when it comes to tech. And that's, you're buying a license and you're not actually owning it. Like if you take your phone, for example, especially iPhone does it. If you read in there, you don't technically own your phone. You own a license to use your phone. I just paid $1,000 for this thing. You mean I don't own it? Come on, guys. You gotta do better than that. Tech companies, you gotta do better than that. If I own something and I buy it, I own it. I don't have a license. And I think that's something we need to change. There has to be a system where you can exchange keys with somebody. You can sell it to somebody, or let somebody borrow it, or just give it away. And that's it. Thank you guys for joining me. This was a pretty, I'm gonna say different video than what we're doing. I like to do some of these think pieces around tech and gaming and just general technology. If you like this type of video, give me a thumbs up. Tell me why you like this type of video. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down and tell me why you didn't like this video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one.